Karibu tena, unaendelea kutazama Citizen Townhall, tukiwa tunakuletea matangazo haya mubashara kutoka barabara kuu ya Ngong, na tuko katika eneo la kibiashara la Greenhouse, na nataka tukumpatia nafasi ama kuwapatia nafasi baadhi ya viongozi ambao wameungana nasi hii leo. Mmoja wao ni Peter Wahinya ambaye ndiye mwakilishi wodi ya Ngando, mahali ambapo jumba hilo la shule ya msingi ya Precious Talents lipo. Mheshimiwa, tuanze na swali hili ambalo limeulizwa siku nzima. Itakuwaje sehemu hiyo isiwe na shule ya umma?
Asante sana madam kwa hiyo swali. Vile ilitendeka kwamba nitasema kwamba hapo awali Ngando ward ilikuwa imeshikanishwa pamoja na ward ya satellite. Pale tunaita Riruta satellite ilikuwa moja. Katika ile subdivision ya boundaries ambayo ilitendeka mwaka wa 2005 ikawa imetengwa, ikakuwa ikiwa peke yake, na katika hiyo pirika ya kuitenga tukapata ya kwamba mashule zote za shule ya kimsingi, primary schools na hata primary schools zote zikabaki upande wa satellite. Tuko na mashule kama Kenyanjui Primary, tuko na shule kama Satellite Primary, na zote ziko upande ya satellite. Tulikuwa tunazitumia tukiwa kama tuko pamoja, kama tumeshikanishwa pamoja na Riruta. Sasa vile tulipewa hiyo mandate ya coexist as an independent ward. Sasa business ama ile pirika za kujaribu kuleta shule katika ward yetu ndio bado hazijatendeka. And one of the biggest problems ambayo tuko nayo kusema ukweli ni kwamba ndani ya Ngando ward we have almost zero government land. Government land pale kupata ni shida kabisa, because almost 99% of all the land in Ngando ward are owned by the landlords. Sasa the business we've been transacting ni kwamba tunakuwa tukiomba landlords walio pale watusaidie kama wanaweza katutengea land ambayo tunaweza pia tukatafuta pesa na kujenga.
Lakini hii leo serikali imesema kuwa itazungumza na shule ya Lenana ili kuweza kutoa kipande kidogo kutoka kwao kujenga hiyo shule. Mbona hili jambo halikufikiriwa awali? Ni kuwa hamkupendekeza, hamkufikiria hivyo, ama ni kwa sababu kumekuwa na janga ndio mkaona kulikuwa na ardhi eneo fulani?
Hiyo nitasema kwamba hiyo safari ya kutembea kwa kujaribu kupata land kutoka Lenana, ukweli wa mambo ni kwamba ilianza zamani sana. This business started in the days of Madam Beth Mugo, wakati alikuwa our member of parliament, na ikakuwa tena baadaye ule aliyekuwa pale ambaye anaitwa Bwana Wawero akajaribu pia naye akajaribu, na hata wakati leo tunasimama hapa KJ na mimi bado tunasukuma hiyo gurudumu. Shida iliyoko ni kwamba it has become very difficult to convince Lenana ya kwamba watukatie kipande ili tuweze kujenga hiyo shule ya msingi. Sana tunasema ECD and a primary school. Imekuwa ni ngumu sana. In fact, the recent engagement, mimi niliweza kuzungumza na mwalimu, the headmaster of that school, na tukakubaliana ya kwamba we don't want that any land to be hived off ati ikuje kwa upande ownership ikuje kwa community. That we are no longer interested. Our interest ni kwamba tukubalishwe kujenga katika land ya Lenana. They continue the ownership, continue iwe ownership ni ya Lenana. Baada ya sisi kumaliza kujenga hizi mashule, we shall hand over the ownership of the structure to Lenana. And the management of these schools can remain in Lenana. Our only interest is to have access to this school, because it will be within the proximity of where we live.
Naam, asante sana. Pia tuko na mheshimiwa kutoka kaunti ya Uasin Gishu, Bwana Looi. Labda unaweza kutueleza haya matatizo ambayo tunaona Nairobi, pia Uasin Gishu yapo?
Asante sana mheshimiwa. Haya matatizo ambayo mnayaona Nairobi yako kila mahali. Hata Uasin Gishu haya matatizo yapo. Ni wakati tu maybe bado inaongojea ili maneno kama yametokea leo yatokee. Kwa sababu kuna buildings ambayo ilikuwa nyumba za wasungu kitambo na ikakuja ikachukuliwa kama shule. Sasa hizi vyumba vyenyewe vinasimama kama tayari zimebomoka. Sinaongoja tu upepo ama mtu akuja aitikize zianguke. Pia kuna structures ambayo imejengwa na wazazi. Wazazi wanapata pesa kidogo, board inaamua inasema tunataka hizi pesa ifanye kazi kidogo yenye iko hapa, wanatengeneza structure ambayo ni temporary na wanaita darasa, na wanasahau kwamba walikuwa wametengeneza tu in temporary terms. So hiyo darasa inakaa hapo na inaishi, na mtu anasahau kwamba walikuwa na temporary class. Shida nyingine ambayo tuko nayo mashinani sana ni kwamba CDF na public works wafanye kazi pamoja. Unapata wakati CDF NCDF saile wameshapeana chegi yao, hawahusishi watu wa public works kwenda kuhakikisha kwamba wameona drawings, wamefanya feasibility study na wamefuata hiyo structure wakati wa kujenga mpaka imalizwe. So unapata tu chegi imefika shuleni, wanafunzi, walimu na committee wameshika ile chegi, wameanza kujenga style yenye wanataka kujenga, plus corruption ndani yake. Wanamaliza darasa, wamesema wamemaliza, mheshimiwa anakuja anafungiwa kamba, anakata na makasi na anasema ni darasa na inaendelea. So hizo shida siko, sinaongojea tu muda sianze kulepuka.
Naam, naomba tu mpatie microphone Bwana Wamalo hapo, ambaye ni mwakilishi wodi kutoka kaunti ya Bungoma. Wamalo, kwa upande wako, ni kuwa shule za umma kuna ugumu wa kuzijenga, ama ni rahisi kwa mtu kuamua kuwa na shule yake ya kibinafsi kuwasaidia watu ambao wanaishi katika eneo fulani?
Asante sana Madam Mashirima. Mwanzo kabisa na ningependa vile vile kutoa rambirambi zangu kwa wale ambao waliathirika na shida iliyopatikana siku ya leo, na tunasema kwamba walio pata majeraha tunatakia afueni haraka sana. Mimi kwa upande wangu najua kwamba kuanza shule ya umma ni rahisi, process ni rahisi kuliko kuanza shule ya kibinafsi, kwa sababu mahitaji ya shule ya kibinafsi ni mengi, na inahitaji kwamba yule ambaye anaegeza au amejitolea anajua kwamba policy za education zinasema nini, na vile vile hata wale maafisa ambao wanasimamia inspection ya shule wanafuatilia kwa makini sana. Shule ya umma huwa ni jamii, community ina own, na inaonekana kwamba ikiwa wazazi wamejitolea vizuri wataipelekwa haraka ikiwa kutakuwa na shamba. Mimi nataka tu niseme kwamba
lakini kama hakuna shamba,
hiyo ndio shida, kwa sababu mashamba mengi haswa eneo ambalo natoka la Soisambu Mitwa Ward katika Bungoma County, mashamba mengi hayana title deeds. Kwa hivyo unaona kwamba kununua shamba, kuweka mradi wa serikali inakuwa ni vigumu, inachukua muda mrefu. Hata hivyo wale wa kibinafsi, kwa mfano shida iliyotokea leo, ni vyema kabisa kuangaziwa. Si shida tu wapelekewe wale ambao ni wahandisi, si shida tu ipelekewe wale ambao ni wasimamizi wa serikali, wanabeba lawama, lakini vile vile msimamizi wa shule. Kwa sababu ni vizuri kufahamu usalama wa watoto. Huwezi ukajenga jengo ambalo halina uwezo wa kuwabeba wanafunzi ambao ni watu, maisha ya watu, na uweze kufanya ukijua kwamba ni hatari na uendelee mbele.
Naam, asante sana Bwana Wamalo. Nadhani Trevor umeweza kusikia kuwa viongozi wanaonekana kuwa wana mapendekezo, wana majibu kuhusiana na jinsi ambavyo mambo haya yanaweza kuepukika, lakini swali kuu ni mbona haya mambo yafanyike? Trevor.
Good question there, Mashirima. And Wesai, I'll start with you. What are the solutions to this? Because one, there's a commission of inquiry that has now been formed. Are you confident that we'll finally have some recommendations that will be applied across board?
I think we've had a very unfortunate leadership in the Ministry of Education in Kenya since independence. Because if you look at the history of this country, there isn't any other sector that has been researched on and formed commissions more than education. Recently, when we had a fire in Moi Girls, a commission was put in place. An audit for all the schools was carried out. So it is 2-3 years. We did not spot this. We have actually, this afternoon, the ministry has also ordered an audit of all schools. But the recommendations are going to gather dust. The Ministry of Education in Kenya has not been known for implementing anything. And that is why they have a very good education sector plan. But nobody walks through the plan, because there is the conceptualization that happens in the boardroom. But then there is what is happening on the ground.
Yeah.
That is where we have a mismatch.
Yeah.
Because we pass very good policies, we give very good directives from Jogo House, but the people on the ground are going through different challenges that those policies need to be adapted. Guidelines for practice need to be adapted to resolve the problems. How we are going to deal with this matter, for me, it does not inspire any confidence that it's going to be any different, because when we have a fire, we go out looking for telltale signs for a fire. Then we forget all other things. Now a building has collapsed, children have died, we are going to check which building is about to collapse. How do we reinforce it? We will not resolve the problem. Guidelines are there. There are people in the Ministry of Education who earn a salary.
So how do we resolve the problem?
People need to work. We cannot be a country of shortcuts. And if we permit shortcuts in education, we are killing this country. You can finish a nation, you can finish a generation, not by throwing bombs and killing people physically. But once you start lowering the quality of education, you limit a people's capacity to live their life to the fullest. And that is what the leadership of this country is doing, especially to the poor people, because their children are not learning in Kenya.
Okay. Engineer Morris, now, if I'm a layman parent, I walk into a school, because it's getting to a point where now the parents have to be the whistleblowers. What am I supposed to look for? Should I just take a look at the structures and know that this is not sound? What are the telltale signs? What can I see as a parent who has basic knowledge to know that this structure is not safe for occupation?
Trevor, that's a very important educative question. And as a public, I think we need to be very much aware. And I want to give a few tips on what you need to look out for, so that at least at the end of the day, at the back of your mind, you know you are entering either to a safe or an unsafe structure. One of the things you need to look out for, and there are two types of structures. There could be a structure that's made of concrete and stones, which you call permanent, and there could be a structure which is made of like the one similar we saw today. They also exist. For stone and concrete, you look out for things like cracks, you know, kupasuka ya ukuta ama kupasuka ya sakafu, floor. And that crack is an indication that something is happening, because at the beginning of occupation of that particular building, the crack may not have been existing, but now it has appeared over time. Or it means something is happening. Either the building is moving sideways, and soon it is going to give in, and the same could be happening on the walls. So you need to look at that keenly and see how it's developing. I also want to cautiously say, sometimes we see things that look like cracks in buildings, but they're basically joints. Because a building, for a huge one like this one, you find two parts together, and they're joined, they are designed that way so that at least the building can breathe. That should not scare you. But at least you need to seek an expert's opinion, whether it's a normal crack or is a designed joint. The other thing you need to look out for, when the building is opened and it's new, most of the times things are functioning. The doors are opening nicely, the windows are opening, and if over time they refuse now to open, either they are scratching on the floor or they are not able to close, it means something is happening. This is also an indication that something wrong is happening. But again, I don't want to be a prophet of doom. You should not be scared every other time. You need to seek expert opinion so that you are told whether the building is going to collapse or it's still safe. Number 3, on a temporary structure like the one that was there today, I'm not saying this is what was happening. Sometimes it starts leaning. Leaning means it is slanting on one side. If you see that leaning kind of thing, sometimes a naked eye may not be able to see. But if you are a trained eye that is keen, you should be able to tell that something wrong is happening. Again, if it's on a slab like the one that is, we call it suspended, the one on above ground, it could be maybe sagging, which means it is, originally it was straight if you look at it from the bottom, but now over time you see it sagging, and then it keeps sagging, and spontaneously what happens? It collapses. So those are some of the key things that you need to look out for, in addition to many other things that are so technical. And I think this is a good question, because in terms of sensitization, educating the public, we need to be very much aware of, in simple basic language, and the look of a naked eye, what do we need to look out for? And some of the things I've mentioned today.
Because one of the parents said that mtoto alikuwa anamwambia sakafu ilikuwa na yumba yumba kidogo.
The dancing part of it, as he has called it, is a scenario of a user comfort indication. If, for instance, if we are walking on this floor I want to believe there's a basement down here. The parking is down here. You are sitting on a floor which there's a basement. If, for instance, you are walking here and it keeps vibrating or dancing, that's an indication that either something is wrong. For the user comfort, deflection is more than required. But again, it depends on the kind of structure. If it's steel or it's made of steel, the structure of steel, it could be designed to behave that way. But there's a limit beyond which it now becomes a question of concern. So those are things you need to look out for. Kuyumba ya nyumba is also an indication that something wrong is happening. But I need to emphasize again, the experts are there. Just like you can not go to a hospital and expect to be treated by an unqualified doctor. The same thing if you go to a building industry, there are people who are accredited professionals that are actually certified or licensed to assess and certify the building for safety of its use. Those are engineers and others in the industry.
Let me bring in Engineer Jane very briefly. And you said that the structure, when you got there, you could not even believe it was standing. But is there a chance that it was just the live weight that was too much for it? Because there's always a capacity. You can say this lift holds 10 people. If you go beyond that, then the live weight might bring it down. Is there a possibility that was the problem, that there were too many students there at the same time?
Yes, that could be the live load, especially for students. It's actually a dynamic load, such that when they get in, they jump around and everything else, then the load changes from the live load. But more so, as I said, when I looked at that building, I did not even see how it carried its own dead load. Dead load is when, for example, you put a slab. It actually has the weight of its own slab. Of that slab itself, its own weight. The building is supposed to, when you're building, you're supposed to consider the dead load, now the load of the slab itself or whatever else that is fixed on that. And then the live load. The live load is now things that come and go. So the dead load on that building is, and that's what I'm not sure how that was carried actually by that weight. And that's what you're saying. It is actually very unfortunate. The other thing, he's talked about what you need to look for. We have the building inspectorate, and they've gone around and inspected. Actually, there are 14,700 buildings that have been inspected. Out of that, as you said, 761 are actually unfit, and some of them have been brought down. 4 of them I know have immediately they were evacuated. They came down on their own. I think I would just like to talk to the public. Be vigilant. It is not possible for the building inspectorate or for the engineers or even for the technical team to actually go around every building. Every time you see a building coming up, I hear her saying, and I was told that when I was on site, that when it was windy, the building was moving around. Buildings are supposed to be rigid structures. So when you see that, that is something that you're actually supposed to look out for. Call somebody. I'm sure you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who can actually advise. And there's going to be a lot of inspection right now. I know it's from tomorrow the building inspectorate is going to start inspecting all the schools in Gando. I heard you asking if that's too little, too late. It's a point to start. You know, the inspectorate, what they were doing earlier was actually inspecting the high-rise buildings. Because the thought is that the high-rise buildings are actually the ones that are susceptible to that. When it gets now to the ground and first floor, you would really expect that those are so basic, somebody will take care of that. So it's whatever. I want to give you a number. I actually want to give the public a number that I got from the building inspectorate.
So it's like a whistleblower number. Should you see anything unusual?
0719 123 123 and 0726 123 123. That number is actually for the building inspectorate, the ones who are going around inspecting the buildings. And with the sensitization that has been going on, and once they condemn a building, the fact that 4 of them have come down, then I think people are taking it seriously. Remember before they were even evacuating people from a building that you're being told is unsafe has actually been a problem.
So should you see a building that is a bit windy for you, the numbers are 0719 123 123 or 0726 123 123. Mashirima, kuna maswali bado?
Naam, sio swali, ni maswali. Wacha tuanze na Dennis Mburu, ambaye yeye kile ambacho kinamkwaza pia kimekuwa kikinikwaza mara kwa mara, wakati ambapo ninaona baadhi ya viongozi wakienda na kukata utepe wakisema kuwa kuna mradi fulani ambao wanauzindua rasmi.
Asante sana Mwashirima. Mine is to ask, from the start when the building is set up, there are those people who are really concerned, starting from the NCA, the county government, the engineers and the contractors. During the start time, you will find them very busy inspecting everything, the standards and whatever is needed. But from there, do they go after every step and follow up how the building is, so that whatever is required is to be met? But do they now, for now, as we are getting from the inspection board, they are now going to bring down buildings? Where were they when the buildings were built up?
Naam, asante sana. Kuna Patrice pia Otieno ambaye nadhani swali lake litakuwa linajibiwa na mwakilishi wa Red Cross.
I'm Patrice, as she has mentioned. I'm asking this question as a concerned citizen. We are in a country where we have disaster management sensitization plans, but when I pick a call and ask, and I want to call maybe National Police, that this building is coming down in the next 4 to 5 minutes, or it is already down, at what point do we get help? I think as a country we need proper legislation and a body that is mandated to act swiftly on matters disaster management. Because if I say right now that we've got terrorists here, how long will it take for the police to come here and rescue people? And above all, as the regulator has already mentioned, as shown, we need to elect leaders who are responsive. We've got CDFs that are always allocated to MPs, and when you find a region that is not having any primary school which is public, and there is CDF every fiscal year, there is a question to be asked. It is not a question of no land, we can buy land. It's a question that we need to ask.
Okay.
Livingston Sunday naye anataka kuona hatua zaidi ambazo zimechukuliwa. Hatua gani Livingston?
Okay, mimi swali langu ni before hiyo nyumba ikue, kulikuwa na mtu aliye approve hiyo nyumba, because haikuja approve yenyewe. So swali ni, je, ule mtu aliye approve hiyo nyumba ameshikwa? Because sasa tulikuwa tunataka at least tuone at least huyo mtu ameshikwa. Until sasa hivi hatujasikia kitu yoyote. So tulikuwa tunataka kujua kama ameshikwa na kama inafaa ashikwe by leo.
Okay.
Labda vile saa hizi naelekea saa 5, kama hajashikwa ashikwe kesho, si ndio? Kuna engineer hapa, labda anaweza kutueleza tu kauli yake kuhusiana na yale ambayo tumeweza kuona katika siku za hivi karibuni.
Thank you so much. I'll start by saying pole to the affected families. But I wish to say, like my colleagues have said, we are not short of policies, we are not short of plans, we are not short of structures. All these things are there. But I think like we can sit back now and review and say somebody is not doing their work, somebody has not done their work. I wish to perhaps say this. This country spends a lot of money training professionals. There are people who would advise on a structure similar to the one that has just come down, causing loss of life and of course investment. And I would suggest that as a country we utilize the resources that we have. Most of these structures would not come down if the correct technical inputs have been utilized. And yet we sit back, when I commune with quite a number of my colleagues, engineers, they are idle. And it's not like they are going to ask a fortune to assist those developers to put sound structures in place. But as a country, I think we sit back, we take shortcuts. Like my colleague says, we form commissions, we inquire on things, we write reports. As a country, I think we need to start a new narrative.
Okay.
Where we can actually say we need to be progressive. We have people who can help in implementing those policies in the education sector. Okay. We have engineers who are sitting idle who can help. I don't think our services are so expensive.
All right.
Where we are, perhaps we can take it up.
Yeah.
That it's a good point. Sorry for the affected. Sorry that we lost a life. But let's look back and get somewhere moving forward. Thank you.
Come up with solutions. All right, we've run out of time here, but I'll start with Venant. Just your final remarks on the way forward in solution. And there's been a question about disaster response time. What more do we need to do? How fast can police get there? A minute each and every one of you to just wrap up and give us their recommendations as well.
And all said and done, tonight we know we have at least 60 families who have slept in a very traumatized manner because either they have lost their loved ones or they are injured or they don't know where they are. So Kenya Red Cross, we have set up an information, tracing and counseling center at Kenyatta Hospital. And even tonight, for those who feel they'll need some support one way or the other, they can call number 1199. This is a toll-free number. You're not charged anything. If you feel you need some counseling services, we can be redirected and you'll have on telephone counseling.
Okay.
And you can get some support. But tomorrow onwards at Kenyatta Hospital, we'll have one-on-one services. Now, Kenya Red Cross, as we continue playing our auxiliary role to the national government and the county governments, we recognize the fact that we may experience disasters one way or the other. So we have opened our doors to both levels of government, especially county governments.
Yeah.
We are working with them in terms of reviewing their policies, their disaster management plans, their preparedness, and working together so that we can be able to have some more better preparedness, as the gentleman has said, such that we can reduce the reaction or the response time.
Okay. So again, that number, sorry to cut you short because we're running out of time. In case there's any parent who's still looking for a loved one or needs any sort of counseling, the number is 1199, toll free.
Correct. 1199 moja moja tisa tisa.
All right. I'd like to bring in Maurice here. Just a final comment, 1 minute.
Thank you, Trevor. I wanted to say 3 things. But before I say that, it's just good to note that the mandate of National Construction Authority is to oversee the industry, construction industry, and coordinate its development. So alongside that, I want to say 3 things that we need to enhance as a way forward. One, we need to enhance sensitization and public awareness, not just for our contractors who are actually carrying out these projects where they are engaged professionally, but also to the public, so that at least you are aware of what to do, and then you can also whistleblow. We have a whistleblowing number in our website. Just type any word NCA, and then the information will come there, www.nca.go.ke.
Okay.
Number 2, I want to say that we need to enhance coordination and collaboration. Today you saw how, I was also on site actually, you saw how we came in as part of unity to empathize with the family and also see what happened. From the beginning, we need to do the same so that at least it doesn't come at the end, so that all this is done together.
Okay.
Lastly, enforcement. I think enforcement is one area that we need to enhance so that at the end of the day, we are doing the right thing, that is legally recognized, that is allowed in law.
Okay.
At the end of the day, everything will be quality assured and nobody will be able to go through what we sometimes go through like today. Thank you.
All right, Engineer Jane, 1 minute.
Thank you very much. As a mother, I really feel it for the parents, especially the mothers who lost their children, for the ones whose children got injured, and I am really sorry for that. I come from the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. We are many engineers. If you need help, and not if you need help, it's actually compulsory. Whatever it is you're putting up, please seek professional help. Sometimes if you really think that you can't afford it, I don't know, just come to the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. Look for us, we shall help you. Please do not build anything without professional help. It is expensive. You may think an engineer is expensive, but the cost of a life, the cost of even that investment, I don't think it's worth it. Please seek professional help and you'll be helped.
All right.
Thank you
Jonathan, very briefly, 1 minute.
For me, the people in the Ministry of Education need to do their job. And as the engineers are saying here, there are too many of them out here. The Ministry of Education in the Directorate of Quality Assurance needs to pick them and have them on those panels that go around inspecting these schools. we should not be losing children in the 21st century because of their thirst for education.
All right.
It's unfortunate.
All right. Thank you so much to my panelists, Jonathan Wesai, Education Expert, Engineer Jane Mutulili, First Vice President IEK, Engineer Maurice Okech, Acting Executive Director, Registrar of Contractors at the NCA. And it's important to mention, we had invited Ann Kananu. She's the Chief Disaster Officer in Nairobi County, but she later on sent a text, regret message, saying that there's a lot of logistics on the ground and she wouldn't make it. And we also had Venant Digila, Emergency Preparedness and Response Manager, Kenya Red Cross, and also Mudeu Kasanga, National Chair, Kenya Private Schools Association. That does it for us here at the Monday Townhall session. Thank you so much for being a part of this discussion. This is where we hold the government accountable by first giving the people a voice so that they air their issues, and hopefully the government is listening. Mashirima?
Na asante sana Trevor, pia nataka kuwashukuru tu wale ambao wameweza kuungana nasi, ambao bila wao hatungeweza kupata kusikia kutoka kwao wenyewe yale mambo ambayo wanataka yashughulikiwe. Na nadhani kuna wengi hapa leo watakuwa wanalala wakifikiria kama Livingstone, kuwa tusiwe tu tunangojea kusikia kuwa ni maafisa ambao wamehusika na ufisadi ndio wanakamatwa. Tunataka pia kuona kuwa wale ambao wana halalisha ujenzi wa majumba ambayo yanasababisha vifo pia wanakamatwa. Naitwa Mashirima Kapombe, usiku mwema.